Hi everyone, good afternoon from Vienna. My name is Adela Mejjanic. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Making It in Austria. Today I have a great pleasure to welcome Eva Bönisch with us, who is going to tell us her inspiring stories and ways to Austria. Welcome, Eva.
Thank you, Adela, and thank you for invitation and also the opportunity to share my story.
Yeah, a very warm welcome to our channel. Like with all the guests, I would like to invite you to tell us a little bit about yourself, where you are, what you do, and we can start talking about your ways. How did you find your way to Austria?
Okay, thank you. So my name is, might sound very German. However, I was born and raised in Slovenia. And I came to Austria 12 years ago for my master thesis experiments to Vienna, where I knew no one. And also the language at the beginning was a bit of a challenge, an issue. I had an advantage of learning German and having quite good vocabulary, but as you know yourself, Austrian dialect is quite different than one you learn in the school. So I had a bit of a struggle at the beginning, let's put it that way, to find myself feeling comfortable having conversations. Yeah, and then I finished here my master thesis, then I continued with my PhD, and currently I am employed in a pharmaceutical company here in Vienna, or Ort an der Donau, close to Vienna.
So tell us a little bit about those. You mentioned the challenges, obstacles, hurdles. So tell us a little bit about that experience for our viewers who are considering to move to Austria, for instance, without knowing the language.
Okay, yeah, sure. So for me, I always wanted to have some experience abroad. So for me, the chance was, okay, go somewhere to do my master thesis, as I was too late for Erasmus already. And I took that opportunity to apply for a lab here. And I had fears, of course, to go somewhere a new language, but not as good, or not in conversational mode. I knew there will be a lot of scientific terms that I'm not used to while I will be working in the lab. Also, I didn't know anyone in Vienna, so it was completely me alone. And also, not being in the structure of student networks, I knew that it will be awkward and I didn't know how I will manage. However, I still wanted to have this experience coming to Austria. And it was, as many adventures are, I guess, very intimidating and overwhelming for me. But what I then, how I calmed myself down was, I asked myself, okay, what is the worst scenario that can happen to you when you come to Austria? And not knowing people, not knowing what expects you in the lab. What if you don't understand the scientific language it's spoken? Nothing works as you planned for. You don't have results. You cannot finish your master thesis. So what is the worst case what can happen? And that helped me to reconsider my options, and everything then looked way less scary because I already mentally pictured those scenarios and what I can do, and is it really that bad? And in my head then it was, okay, well, I will struggle in the lab. I will probably need to learn a lot, and it will be a hustle, and I will be probably much slower than anyone else. But maybe they will have a different way of working from the environment I come from. And maybe I won't have a results at the end, which will mean that when I return home, in worst case scenario, I will need to repeat that and add additional months to finish that. So in that way, I kind of calmed myself down. I did have a courage to try, but yeah, failure was allowed. It was one option. you never know what happens. But at the end, it turned out quite well for me. And I must admit, at the beginning, I also spoke only English for 2-3 months because it was hard for me to understand the dialect at some certain words, and also I was a bit scared and not so fluent putting the sentences together.
Yeah.
You know the words,
Yeah.
but you're very slow by arranging the whole sentence that makes sense. And I had luck that my colleagues were very patient with me when I started to feeling comfortable enough to speak to them in German. So just that it needs time,
Yes.
that's for sure. And for me, it always helped to make scenarios. What is the worst thing that can happen, and how can I react? It always takes the fear then away, and mentally prepares you for whatever is coming to your way. Yeah.
I
And
love
also
that.
meeting people, not knowing anyone. that was also definitely a struggle, let's put it that way, or out of my comfort zone, not knowing anyone.
I love what you said, Eva, with the worst case scenario. So that was basically how we thought when we decided to move from Bosnia to Austria. So what is the worst that it can happen to us? Basically, if we say, okay, we will commit for the next 6 months, and then, we will give our best to find a job and meet new people and learn the language and experience the culture. And if it doesn't work out, at least, we said, okay, at least we have tried. At least we will have this experience, something that we can, take with us for the rest of the life, and say to ourselves, yeah, we gave it a try, and not like what would be if and then, thinking about 10 years ahead, 10 years later, okay, if we would have done that. So I think that's for me, that's a really good way of, bringing ourselves out of the comfort zone and then trying new things out.
And I must say, I use this technique that I started 12 years ago, still nowadays, in various areas in my personal life, in my working life, taking new tasks, new jobs, whatever. It's always like, okay, what's the worst thing? And it does help in some way. Not always, but it helps.
It prepares you, as you said, mentally.
Yeah.
So you already had these scenarios in your head played out, and then you say, okay, if that, and in most of the cases, it turns out better than we have expected. So, but
Absolutely.
that's, the human nature. Always, think whatever is new, it's so bad, and it's going to go, so not good. Or for instance, when I need to call someone or a new person, and it's like, oh my God, they will say something, or I will not understand the words that they're saying, or they will be rude or mean to me, and so on and so forth. So it's always good to prepare.
And you get used to it, right? And you get used to it that in the sense that not always will be everything perfect, and it's make your life then easier. Which each step, as you said, calling a new person, you freak out, but then you have this method, and failures are allowed, and maybe it won't be as bad, and maybe it will be even better. But
yeah. But it's good to play these scenarios in your head. Eva, would you like to tell us a little bit of what you do? So what is your work about?
Okay, yeah, sure. So in my current job, I'm responsible for a processes, like manufacturing process, of one group of products we do or manufacture, and also I am an operation unit lead, meaning that I am responsible and having an overview of different programs and processes that happen in our facilities, and having bigger overview, and have a lot of like stakeholders that I communicate with, so that we have everything ready when something has to be manufactured, materials, documents, people. So it's not only my job for each of this category, but in overall, is everything on place and it has a green light so we can proceed. And I really like this job because it's many different departments, a lot of excellent people who know their job and are really experts. So it's really a pleasure to work there. And what I also like, I learn a lot every day. So also here, I know a lot of times I'm completely lost and don't know everything, but I learn day by day, and that's also a good experience. So that's my current job.
I can hear that you love what you do. So your voice became really softer, and you wanted to tell us. So it's really it's a pleasure to hear people that they love their jobs and that makes them happy, because at the end of the day we do spend lots of our days and our life at work, and if it's a good fit, then it's a great life.
And I also want to acknowledge that in every job, and even in this job that you said, my voice gets softer, and one sees that I like it. There are certain tasks that I really don't like and I need to accomplish. It's like in every job, or in when you think of school, there is always a subject that you don't really like, but you still have to finish it. So for me, it's always a balance. If the tasks, all good tasks that makes fun and I enjoy them, outweigh the tasks that I really don't like, then it's fine, then I'm balanced, because you will never find something that is from A to Z tippy top and best. So it's always, some things that I really don't want to do and I postpone and I push on the side, and there's certain things that I excel and I like it. And you notice it in the speed that I accomplish those things.
Bet on your strengths. I think that's really, really so important. You reminded me since you mentioned the school, so you reminded me of, music classes or art classes. So back then I thought I have a talent, so I would sing like there is no tomorrow, but
good for you.
and draw, draw like there is no tomorrow, and every drawing looked the same. And in my marriage, so in our marriage, my husband, he loves to draw, so like a hobby. So and then when we tried new things out, so we said let's draw something, and he starts drawing, and we compare it. So we have half of the paper belongs to him, half the paper belongs to me, and then my drawings are very, very the same all the time. All the time, the same person. So, but yes, it makes fun, and something that it's okay to not to accept that and say, okay, it makes me fun, and it's not something that I have to excel. It's a joyful experience. Eva, you mentioned that Young Leaders Forum. So that's actually how we met, or how we've been introduced through that organization, to that community. It's a very powerful community. I had the pleasure to attend one or the other events, and I would like to ask you to tell us a little bit what you do there. So what's the mission behind the community, and how important are the networks in general for someone's career, for a professional life, but as well, private life. It's not just only about succeeding in career, but as well, maybe there's a fulfillment in hobbies or serving the community and so on.
Definitely. So also one thing that Vienna gave me, or when I came to Vienna, I always say it's a gift of Vienna, is knowing so many interesting people and also organizations and networks. That was not always an easy task. As I mentioned at the beginning, when I came to Vienna, I didn't know anyone. So for me, the decision was, when I was a couple of weeks here, so Eva, you either stay at home, and it will take weeks to meet someone and slowly build up your people you may know, or your network, or whatever. Or you can just check what's going on in surrounding. Is there any, clubs or associations that you might be interested in? Just go and try it out. And I must say, this was way out of my comfort zone at that time. You can imagine if you go to some event or alone, we tend to go at least as a pair you have someone to chat, and you don't stand alone in some corner awkwardly. And how do you speak to those people to probably know each other and you're there? And so for me, that also, again, it was way out of my comfort zone. And again, this scenario was coming into a place where I said, well, either you stay at home, it will take way longer, or you just give it a go. Yes, it might be awkward. Yes, you will feel uncomfortable, but you can leave it then after 10 minutes if it's really not worth it. And so that's how I started. And I met a group of Slovenian students at the beginning, and out of that, the best gift, my best friend. I met my best friend also, and our friendship is still going strong. So it's, you see, out of comfort zone, it's a win situation. Through her, I then, for example, got to know the network of European Forum Alpbach, amazing people, great experiences that also influenced greatly my life, and also my way of thinking, accepting things, perceiving things, like completely new dimension. And also through that, when you know people, I came to Young Leaders Forum. And it's a younger section of Wirtschaftsforum für Führungskräfte, so a younger section of managers of Austria, let's put it that way. And we are here to support young leaders or people at the beginning of their career. We organize workshops, networking, social events. There's also mentoring program. And for me, this networking with different associations is important in the sense that I meet new people. As we talked some time ago, I said to you that I like meeting new people. I like hearing their stories. I feed on this. It's my soul food. I get so inspired by different people and their life stories. So I always see this as an opportunity to meet new people and also to gain something. And my particular role in YLF, as I'm also a board member, is to bring in and program a very relevant topics about, let's say, female leadership, diversity, negotiation of salaries, all these topics that are for young leaders, but not only young, even basically for everyone, important also in our professional life.
Since you mentioned networking and out of the comfort zone, so I have a follow-up question for you. One of the questions that I always get when I give a training on networking, or power of networking, is what if you're an introvert? Because they say always, like, for extrovert, so it's already well known, so they know their ways, they enjoy meeting people, going out. And then what about those introverts?
I think there is never only one introvert at such event. So look for another introvert in the room. Also, that's a good start to show up. And I would say for myself that I'm extrovert and I can quite easily connect with people. But it's also intimidating when you're in a room of, let's say, a lot of important people, all the people that have more experience, and you're this young person here and you don't know how to approach them, or you're intimidated. So that's kind of also, let's put it a little bit of introvert. So it's hard to make a step forward. And I think for the introverts, maybe just have a couple of questions, the general questions. I know it's a cliche, but that's how you break the ice, and everybody knows it and everybody are comfortable with it. That's how it works. You start like this and then it develops. And yes, it might end after 3 minutes, and that's all right. And you can always go and grab a juice or canapé or whatever, excuse yourself to the toilet. So it's always way out when it gets uncomfortable. And I think it's like a training. You go further and further and you get better and better. So yes, it's not gonna happen like this.
Yeah,
it didn't happen for me, and I think I am quite good at networking and meeting people. And it took me time and courage, and so
yes,
give it a time And don't give up.
Yeah, without you have to come back. So you have to keep going. And what I say nowadays as well, because most of the events are online, for me, so from my point of view, this is the best time for networking. Really, so be it an extrovert or an introvert, because there, if you have been at 1, 2, 3 events, you already have the feeling, how does it, what's the schedule? So what's the agenda? So you go there, there's a short presentation, then there are breakout rooms, and those breakout rooms as well are very much, 5 minutes, 8 minutes, short ones where you get to know each other, and that's it, second round or third round, and so on and so forth. So for me at the moment, it's a great opportunity to meet new people and use this opportunity to connect, to network, be it for a job or just your hobbies.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think it couldn't be a better time, and people are very much eager to get to know other people as well. So they accept your invitation for a virtual coffee or get to know fastly than in years before in Corona, because now it's just such normal thing to do, everything to Zoom. Thank you, Eva, for sharing. One of my tips that I gave with that question was marry an extrovert. If it's an option in our marriage, so we are introvert, and so my husband is an introvert, I'm an extrovert.
The same for my marriage. So choose wisely your partner.
Choose wisely your partner, don't look.
So he benefits from me being extrovert, and I really benefit from him being rather introvert, as it calms me down and grounds me. So win-win.
Yes, and one thing that introverts have is so special is that they can talk about one topic for hours.
Yes.
For hours, and this is so special for them. And for us, it's like extroverts, if we go for an event, we are just like going from one person to another. It's like 5-10 minutes, and then you just you switch, because you want to know and you want to mingle and you want to connect people. And for introverts, for my husband and for other people that I met who claim that they're extreme introverts for real, so they are just like very much focused in building this meaningful relationship, just really staying with this one person. And if there's a click, they really bond, and then that develops in friendships and goes long than for
very true.
You see. So Eva, before we wrap up for today, I ask all of my guests, what are they reading nowadays?
Okay. I actually read that book, but I always come back to the chapters. And currently I'm also having on my night desk rereading some chapters, I think for second and third time. And it's from Brene Brown, the Braving the Wilderness. So to embrace yourself as you are. And I think that was the right book at the right time in my life, that also gave me a good perspective about who I am, what are my values, how to proceed. So I always come back to these chapters when I need a little bit push-up. So that's what I'm currently rereading, in certain chapters again.
That's I like Brene Brown. So I haven't read that book. I have few others from her, 1 or 2, that I also go from chapter and then I go back and then I leave it and come back, because it's a very practical as well book. So it's not just theory but practice. And then sometimes I feel like, okay, I need this chapter, and the other chapter is like, okay, this will come later when I have the situation. So she's a really, for our viewers, if you didn't read the book, I would definitely recommend the Netflix documentary that was released, I think 1 or 2 years ago, and some YouTube videos just to get the feeling about her work on vulnerability and power of it.
Also, her TED Talk is one of the most watched TED Talk of all time. So also check that.
That's true. Yeah, thank you, Eva. So thank you, Eva, once again for being our guest today and joining us and sharing your inspiring story. I really, really enjoyed it, every minute of it, and I hope our viewers the same.
Very pleasant atmosphere, as it was a coffee chat.
Yes,
Thank you,
almost.
Adela.
Next time we just bring the coffee with us as well. Thank you, Eva. Have a great weekend. And to all of our viewers, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe to the channel, comment. And if you have any questions or guests to recommend, so please tell us, just post in the comment. I'm happy to connect with people and organize a next interview in the coming weeks. Thank you all.